In this short video, I'm going to introduce the concept of a perpetuity, kind of as a bridge to an annuity, which is something we're going to use quite a bit. Now, a perpetuity is a simple concept. It is a level cash flow that means it is periodic every month, every year, every quarter, whatever the period is, and cash flow amounts are the same. But it's also perpetual, which means it never ends. You're probably thinking this is some sort of theoretical concept that we're not ever going to see in practice. Well, you would be wrong. Example, British government has financial instruments called consols. Uh, Consols are instruments such that they pay a constant but never ending uh, coupon or interest on a loan. So let's say you have a console with 10% coupon rate, and you lent the British government £10,000, then every year you're going to get £10,000 times 10%, that is £1,000. And there is no end to these payments. Since it is infinite, technically speaking, you will never get your money back. And these are called perpetuities. Well, how do we calculate value of a perpetuity? Even though math looks complicated, it turns out to be easy. I'm not going to bother you with the niceties of the math. So present value of a perpetuity, I'm going to call that PRP. It's simple. You're going to call the periodic payments $C, and you're going to divide that by R, where $C is periodic payments. So if it is monthly, uh, and R is the period interest rate. Or if you want to be able to handle different kinds of interest rate conventions, you can also write PRP as $C times APR over F, where F is frequency of payment in a year. If you actually modify that formula, you can think of as PRP as $C times F divided by APR. Another example of, and I'm going to use this to calculate value of a commonly used financial instrument. They are called preferred stocks. These are instruments that are technically not stocks. They pay a constant dividend until the end of time, or until the company goes bankrupt, obviously. Let's say we have a company that pays quarterly dividends of uh, $16.25, uh, and proper discount rate is 20%. So what is the value of this preferred stock? The first thing you're going to recognize that this is a perpetuity. Every quarter, which means 4 times a year, this company promises that you will be paid $16.25. So our periodic payment is 16.25. Since it's quarterly, there are 4 quarters a year. That's our frequency, and our APR. Let me erase that. Is 20%. Now we can calculate the value of this. Present value of, I should say PVP. I don't know why I said PRP. Come on, eraser, work with me. Periodic payments times frequency divided by APR. Well, 1625 times 4 divided by 20%. So that's $65 that you get in a year divided by 20%. Well, dividing something by 20% is like multiplying it by 5, so that would be $325. Now, even though you are not likely to see it much, there is another kind of perpetuity. This is kind of an extension. Let's call this is called a growing perpetuity. A growing perpetuity is a perpetuity, except payments grow at a constant rate every period. Let's consider a perpetuity where initial payment is $100. And we're going to use G as the annual growth, periodic growth rate. Come on, work with me. And let's say G is 1%. That means, let's call this annual for now. Every year, the payments are going to increase by 1%. So first payment is $100. The second payment is going to be first payment times 1 plus G, which, if you make the calculation, 100 times 1 plus 0.01, $101. Third payment is second payment times 1 plus G, so 101 times 1 plus 0.01, and that should be, let me see, 1% of 101 is 101, so 10201, and so on. Again, the math is complicated, but using this notation, I'm going to call PVGP. This is present value of a growing perpetuity. And that's equal to $C times C1, now payments are different every year, times frequency divided by APR minus uh, growth rate, where the growth rate is kind of the annualized version. So in this example, first payment is $100, F is 1. Let's say proper interest rate is 11% and growth rate is 1%. Then what we need to do is plug in the formula, $100 times 1 divided by 11% minus 1%. That's $100 divided by 10%. Dividing something by 10% is the same thing as multiplying it by 10. So that growing perpetuity would have been $1,000. Now, had this been a regular perpetuity where all payments are $100 and interest rate was 11%, its value would have been 100 divided by 11%. So that's going to be, if I'm not mistaken, you can check this yourself, $909.09. Let me actually check that through my phone. Yes, I was right. Not that you had any doubt that I was right. In general, except when we're talking about stocks, we're not going to deal too much with perpetuities and growing perpetuities, but have these in mind. These formulas will also help us obtain a formula for the present value of an annuity and present value of a growing annuity. Then later on, we're going to implement these obviously in Excel, especially the annuity part. In the next video, I'm going to show you what an annuity is. It is like a perpetuity, whether growing or not, except there's an end.